Good morning, South Carolina Realtors. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jay Rinehart. I'm a realtor from the great city of Rock Hill, South Carolina, and serve as the NAR Federal Political Coordinator for my friend and our representative, Ralph Norman.
Thank you, Jay. Good morning, and my name is Morris Lyles, and I'm from Columbia, and I'm proud to serve as the president of South Carolina Realtors this year. We're honored to have Congressman Norman here and with us, and we thank him for his leadership in Washington and his support of the real estate industry and home ownership.
Great. Thank you, Morris. May is this time of the year when we all look forward to attending the NAR Legislative Meetings in Washington. But due to the coronavirus, we're conducting these meetings virtually again this year. It's one of my favorite realtor meetings, and I hate the fact that we can't be together in Washington and we can't be in the congressman's office today. I always love that time with Congressman. We are taking this opportunity to share the discussion, though, online with our 26,000 South Carolina members. For our members who are watching, I hope our conversation today inspires you to attend next year's meetings when I hope we will be all together personally back in Washington, D.C.
Me too, Jay. Normally we have about 125 realtors from South Carolina attending the annual meetings. But it is good that now we get to share this with all of our members and have it online. We know that the congressman is on a tight schedule today, so let's get started.
Great. Congressman Norman, thanks for being with us today. Before we jump into the real estate questions, give us an update on you, your family. How have y'all been over the last 12 months?
Well, first of all, Jay, Morris, and for anybody that's serving, that has served the Realtor organization, thank you for devoting your time and effort. It takes effort and time, and it's not something that you get paid a lot of money for, but the industry as a whole really benefits from the leadership, and I just want to thank y'all for doing it. I've been fine. It's been an interesting year. The dynamics in Washington has changed since the election. To be honest, I haven't had much spare time because we're either in Washington or we're home. I'm all over the district. I love going into businesses and listening to people, and it's been a very rewarding time for me. The reason I enjoy serving is we can help people, and our office can get into a lot of different areas, whether it's getting DD-214s, getting passports, getting, the PPE money and PPP money that hadn't been received by a lot. So I've enjoyed it. It's been a busy time. Our country is facing some real difficult choices, which I hope we can meet the challenge.
Right. Thank you, Congressman. As the U.S. continues to recover from the pandemic, realtors are monitoring a number of issues that are impacting this nation's homeowners, the real estate industry, the health of our mortgage market, American consumers everywhere. There are about 9.5 million jobs in the real estate rental, leasing, and leasing industry, and every 2 home sales generates 1 job in this country. The issues that matter to our industry matter to our nation, and they'll play a critical role in America's economic recovery.
You're right, Morris. Throughout the pandemic, residential real estate has had a positive economic impact on homeowners, communities, the economy. However, access to residential real estate market has been severely limited by the historic 50-year record shortage of affordable housing available for purchase. Congressman, what can Congress do to help address the affordable housing shortage in our country?
Well, first of all, Jay, Morris, I don't know what affordable is anymore. When you try to build a house today, when you've got plywood at $70, $80, when you got 2x10s, 2x12s reaching $20, $30, $35, depending on the month. I don't know what's affordable. Now, the only saving grace we've had, interest rates have remained low. Jay, you and I were in the business when rates were 18, 19% in 78, 79, and then in the 80s. And what we were able to do is, instead of building that 3,500 square foot home or broker that 3,500 square foot home, we started building 1,200 and 1,300 foot homes. at less cost, and they could somehow manage the higher mortgage payment. Today, yes, you've got low interest rates, but housing is so extravagant. What we need to do as realtors is get active on the political front. The regulations that are affecting this industry from footings up to rooftops has got to stop. Impact fees, y'all know what this has done. And we've got unelected bureaucrats who can't help themselves by putting another regulation on. And until we get that, and I had a developer came to me on a subdivision we sold, and he handed me a stack of papers 4 inches thick on just getting the permit for the lot that was completely level. The topo was no gullies or ditches. It was a regular lot that was basically ready to build on after you scraped it off. And I think he was out of pocket 15 to 20,000 just for permit fees. And we've gone too easy on voicing our opinion on these regulations, because the future of this state depends on housing starts. So goes the economy, so goes housing. I mean, so goes housing starts, so goes the economy. And so I would say we've got to get vocal. And who we put in office, who we put in school boards, who we put on city councils, county councils makes a big difference. And I would say this, we've got to recruit business people who have been in the business. I'm so lucky that I'm not I didn't get into politics to make a career. I mean, I made a living before that, and I will make a living after politics. But we've got to engage realtors. And I will tell you now, with what they're trying to take away through the tax code, 1031 exchanges, they're going to increase the SALT state and local tax limits because the northern states that have been mismanaged, they got skyrocketing taxes that they want to increase, which doesn't make sense. But no, I would just say get active on the political level and get people on planning commissions that will at least have an open mind to our side of the story. Realtors are the salt and earth of this country. They're free enterprise. They represent competition. There's no more industry that's more competitive than the real estate industry. And that's what I enjoy about it. And I would just say get active and voice your opinion on anytime there's an increased regulation, and let me know. Until he handed me that thick stack, I didn't realize it was like that, because I said, well, let me go to work on it. And when we need to cut something, I have to have a specific regulation that I can go to DHEC on, as an example, or I can go to the building codes department and say, why? Explain this, not jump on him, but just say, we need an explanation. And then I will help roll it back. But now we can't sit back, and it's times the world has changed.
Thank you, Congressman. If more residential housing is made available as part of our effort to improve the nation's infrastructure, opportunities to access the wealth building benefits of homeownership will increase alongside with employment levels and economic activity. Indeed, a recent study estimates that the U.S. has developed an underbuilding gap of 5.5 million housing units over the last 20 years, sort of since the 2008 crash. It translates into about a $4.4 trillion underinvestment in housing. Even relatively modest steps taken now to reduce this gap will unleash tremendous economic activity and create millions of new jobs. Realtors support the Bipartisan Housing Supply and Affordability Act and the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act. Can we count on your support of these bills?
The housing affordability, is that the $1.445 billion? Was that just a tax credit?
No, let's see, the Housing Affordability Act is.
Okay, that's the 1.5 billion federal grants.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. No, I don't support that. Let me tell you why. Only 10%. First of all, with the Congress we've got now, there are no offsets. The money that would be allocated is borrowed money. This administration is doing nothing to balance this budget. We're going bankrupt. And until we have offsets, I'm not voting for any grants or anything that will not be accompanied by an offset. Secondly, if you look at where this money would go, and 10% of it would go to 10% of housing supply and affordability must go to counties in rural areas. So that's 150 million out of 1.5 billion. And that a lot of times it just goes to the bureaucrats that make rules and regulations that hurt us. And so I just cannot support that. I don't think it's I don't think it's wise to borrow and increase debt like we're doing today. And I will tell you, some of the housing starts, Morris and Jay, are millennials do not want housing. That's where you see an accompanying increase in multifamily. And so a lot of millennials are just renting apartments, which is good. They pay a lot of taxes for, I know, my area and all over the state. But the federal dollars always comes with strings attached. And this is the kind of thing we ought to be kicking back on and saying, no, we don't want the money. Define for me how we can go into an area now and build an affordable house. But we ought to be wanting less regulations, the density requirements this administration is trying to take away, where you cannot, they want to dictate at the federal level the density of how we do housing and multifamily. That's wrong. I won't fight that. But I can't support that, the Housing Affordability Act.
Certainly, Congressman, we understand your position, and certainly I know you look at this, and certainly I'll be glad to provide any backup that I can on some of our positions, specifically in those acts. What we're looking for is the actual helping for, home ownership, because that is such an investment. And while there are a group of millennials in certainly larger states and larger cities, we do have a pretty good population in South Carolina of people that want to own houses. And like my daughter, Ashley, who just bought a house, getting into that first home so that they can impact their community sometimes does take a little bit of help. So, but let's move on, if you don't mind.
Jay, let me get this.
Sure.
I priced a house that I priced at cost. I mean, I can build, with contractors, I can build a house at cost. It was astronomical. Yes, I couldn't afford it. So I bought a house on the market. So, and I think York County is probably, is similar to other counties all across, particularly Charleston may be higher. Columbia has had an up spike in housing. I was looking at the numbers. Y'all have had a good increase percentage wise across the state, but until we get the regulations off of us and somehow get these lumber prices down, I don't know how affordable housing is going to be, but I agree with you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that you mentioned earlier is the 1031 like-kind exchange provisions in the code that are under attack. Certainly preserving this tool encourages additional investment, but also helps small and minority-owned businesses expand and grow and add to their individual wealth. Moreover, like-kind exchanges fills in the gap in housing supply, not covered by other incentives for the development of affordable housing. And we know that you understand personally and as a congressman the importance of the 1031 exchanges, and I believe we can count on you to help protect that in any law.
I'm gonna fight that as hard as I can, Jay. And the sad part about it, Tim Scott did a tremendous job in creating the opportunity zones. That was his thing. Companies all over, we're doing it, and other companies are doing it. They're 1031 and they're having properties that they've had, and they're doing a like-kind exchange into the opportunity zones, which are, according to the census tracts, needing development, whether it's commercial, residential, and the Biden administration is taking that away. I'm gonna fight it, but we don't have the votes now. But that's where I need some help, particularly from, from all of us need to get involved, whether you're Democrat, Republican, and get this, the capital gains tax from 20 to 40%. I mean, how's that going to help the real estate industry? It's not. Taking away 1031s is not. But I'm going to fight it. But I have a hard time, there's no middle ground with me on this because this is common sense. But common sense isn't so common up here, unfortunately.
I understand. Well, taking away those just increases the cost of housing. You know that.
Mhm.
So let's switch over from taxes to independent contractors, if I can. Right now, there's the reexamination going on all over the place of the independent contractor status that has become a topic of pretty intense discussion in Washington. I'm sure you've heard of the PRO Act and know that many new companies, especially in our industry and in others, classify workers who have traditionally been viewed as employees as independent contractors. Well, in our industry, 87% of NAR's 1.4 million members are classified as independent contractors, and as such benefit from greater freedom. You know, they don't have to be in the office. They don't have all of the ties that maybe an employee would. Are you supportive of the long-standing recognition of realtors as independent contractors?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If they take this away, well, first of all, what's going on behind the scenes is everything is built toward labor unions and supporting whatever they want. They're getting a huge payout in every program that's been passed up here. We're lucky to have Boeing, BMW, Michelin, Continental, because we're a right to work state. But the independent contract status, we're going to have to fight for. They just are. I mean, the reason our children stayed out of school was because of unions all across this country. And I can't imagine people being quiet on this, but answer your question, I will fight and support that. And I think Tim, I think Lindsay, and the rest of the delegation, other than Clyburn, will support it.
Thank you, Congressman. Yeah, it's interesting. Even in some discussions the other day with Congressman Clyburn, he basically felt like there were going to be some folks on his side of the aisle that may support, keeping 1031 exchanges, which was some good news. So hopefully we can get some folks to sway over and help us on that end also. But anyway, another question here: as stewards of the right to own, use, and transfer private property, our livelihoods and businesses as realtors depend on an open housing market that's free from discrimination. Our economy, communities, and the American people suffer when discrimination and segregation artificially constrain homeownership and limit the intergenerational wealth that it builds. Yet, more than 50 years after the passage of the Fair Housing Act, the homeownership rates for African Americans, for Hispanics, and Asian Americans continues to lag behind that of white Americans. What can Congress do to help with this?
Well, first of all, we're facing a division that's being thrown in our face, starting with the critical race theory, black, white, rich, poor. And I'm tired of it because I wasn't born in 1850 during slavery, but they're throwing all this up with no solutions. And, the Fair Housing Act was the right thing to do at the right time back in the 60s, but now everything's race. Well, I reject that. I reject the critical race theory. Now, if you look at the percentages, South Carolina, I think, is 29 to 31% minority, Asians, blacks, Hispanics. Now, the percentage is going to be lower, but they've got the opportunity to buy. And if we make housing more affordable, they'll have more of an opportunity. But nobody is discriminated against. This isn't a systemically racist country, and I reject that. And I'm pretty blatant about it because it's the right thing. And this, they throw this up now more than ever, and it's up to us to push back, starting with the school systems, because they're teaching that white, if you got a white skin, you pretty much are responsible for everything and ought to start writing checks for reparations. Well, I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to accept that we're a racist country. And ask any mortgage originator. If you discriminate, that bank or that lender has got a problem. I mean, y'all know that. And so we got to start kicking back on this, because the very people that are calling me a racist, well, they're the ones that are racist, because they've got a view that I just don't agree with. This is a great country. This is a great state. People are coming in here, and we got to protect our freedoms, and we got to protect our the viability of South Carolina. I will tell you, I was on the border which is a sad state in and of itself. We've got millions coming in here. Guess where they're coming? There was one child there. We just happened to pick. Guess where he was coming? Charleston, South Carolina. Now multiply that times, we got 175 coming across the border without any identification. They don't speak the language. They have no job skills, and South Carolina's gonna be paying for that. But no, we're a open state where we will sell houses to anybody that can afford them, and we'll do the right thing when it comes to that. And it's not based on the pigment of your skin.
Thanks, Congressman. Really appreciate that. The Biden administration has recently introduced the American Families Plan. We appreciate what's in there, but we have some concerns over some of the provisions in that plan and several of the proposals that we believe are going to have a negative economic impact on growth and depress commercial real estate. While we agree with some of the infrastructure, it seems to be a small portion of that plan. What's your take on the American Families Plan?
It's awful. It's a bad plan. Let me tell you what's going on. And I got a call from the mayor of Charleston. Charleston is not in my 5th district, but they had a pot of money that was being allocated that could have gone to Charleston. And what Pelosi, and I give her credit, she's street smart, but of the $2.2 trillion of the infrastructure plan and really the COVID relief, all of it, just 9% is going for infrastructure. But what she's doing is putting small pockets to try to say we can get York County, as an example, $1 million. But by the way, you got to vote for the plan. Well, that's, in my mind, that's bribery. Plus, as I told a group the other day, if I had a pill that had 20% good ingredients, but it had 80% bad ingredients that will kill you, would you take the pill? No. So I'm not taking the pill on the infrastructure package because it's not what it says it is. They're fixing up states and bailing out mismanaged states like Illinois. Y'all know the mess in New York. Try going to California. That's what they're giving money to. And I'm tired of it. And so I'm going to broadcast that from the rooftops, because while it may benefit a Charleston or a Rock Hill or whatever, it's not good for the country. And we've got to say no. And if it even had some offsets, I would look at it, but it's just a bad bill. So needless to say, I'm against it.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you. Well, Congressman, before we go, we've got time for one final question. Over the last 12 months, a lot of us spent more time with our family. Some of us, maybe we felt like we spent too much time with our family. But it was kind of a silver lining to everything. But we may have learned to cook or even learned to speak a new language. What was your favorite COVID pastime when we were locked down?
I love to work. I love the real estate industry. It gave me some time when I'm in district to get involved. We got a lot of things going on at the company. There's real estate. And I just love that. That's the beauty. I love serving, but what are they going to do to me? Send me back home? I love what I'm doing back home. But no, I had more time to spend with the company, and I love to cook too. I've got a green egg. I love ribs. I love, and my wife loves it too, and they love to eat. So having grandchildren and cooking has been a great thing. And now I've got a garden going that I do at night. So it's fun.
Fantastic. That's great. No, we all sort of picked up and did some yard work during the last 12, 13 months for sure. Well, Congressman, I really appreciate you being here with us and taking time out of your busy schedule to be with the South Carolina Realtors. And, on behalf of our group, I want to thank you again for your diligence, your leadership, and your hard work up in Washington. And we look forward to seeing you next year when we're able to come up and visit DC and get to see you face to face.
Boris, let me tell you, it's effective. If y'all don't listen to anything else I've said, having the meetings face to face is so effective. Politicians don't know what we don't know. And I can't stress enough for realtors to get involved at the local level. Who we put in office matters, And folks, this matter with your pocketbook, with what you take home now more than ever. So help us do that. It's we the people getting involved, and it's such an honor to be able to serve. And thank y'all. I love the realtors, and let me know how we can help.
Thank you for those words. That's good advice. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Congressman.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.